can you talk about Di Maria's performance? In the pregame show, we were talking about Di Maria's inclusion and thinking, what the F is going on here? Di Maria thrown in, certainly offensive-minded. You obviously cover him intensely. Di Maria stepped up big time. I want to get everybody's opinion. We'll start with JJ on this one here. On Di Maria individually, for me, as far as I'm concerned, he was a man of the match today. I thought he was outstanding.
Yep, Di Maria was sensational. You know, it was vintage Di Maria, and I've seen a lot of really good Di Maria performances over the years for PSG. Haven't been able to see the same level of him at Juve since he moved, but you know, he does still have you know, that class, and he now has the international recognition, success that his talent has deserved, because it's not all just about Messi. Yes, the overriding narrative is Messi, but there's some other fantastic players in that team who have also deserved this success. And Di Maria, you know, is absolutely one of those at the top of that list. You know, I think Scaloni played this brilliantly tactically in putting Di Maria on, keeping him on for the amount of time that he did, because that way he was going to get that absolute maximum out of Di Maria and then be able to bring him off. I think if he'd had an inkling that it might go to penalties, he might have wanted to try and keep him on, but there's no way that Di Maria can last 90 minutes these days. But for what we saw, particularly in that first half, it was just sensational. It was like rolling back the years and seeing him in that performance when PSG destroyed Barcelona in the first leg in the Champions League, or when he was absolutely brilliant as Real Madrid won La Decima. It's, you know, it was absolute vintage Di Maria, and you know, I can't praise him highly enough for that performance.
Heath, Ian, you both were outside backs, and you'll get this, and I think anyone who has played or watched enough football will get this. You watch your wingers. As wingers, you are told to go with your outside back, to test them for pace, test them 1v1 defending, and when you get that edge, when you beat him the first time, you know you've won. You know you can get after him. And I love the persistence. I love the relentless nature that Argentina, Di Maria, when he started this World Cup, he was playing on the right-hand side. In the lead up to this FIFA World Cup tournament, he had been playing on the right-hand side, inverted right winger to come in on his left. I thought Scaloni identified the matchup superbly to take away the defensive responsibility from Di Maria, to not play him on the right-hand side, because Di Maria would have had to come back and track and help on Mbappe. De Paul was the right man for that. De Paul can play box to box, but really his defensive presence on the right gave balance and freedom for Di Maria to operate higher up the field and cheat a little bit in transition for Argentina on the left. And once he beat Koundé the first time, France did not adapt enough to double team, and really the laziness and the mentality of Ousmane Dembele, he exposed that. He used that to his credit, to Argentina's favor. And I agree with Ian. He was my man of the match if that game had stayed 2-0.
Yeah, definitely. We all agreed that he was the man of the match of this game because of his. He was very sharp. I was surprised about that. When you don't play a couple of games, you look like maybe, and you're playing against players that they are strong and very fast. Koundé is a very strong and very quick player, and he turned around him a couple of times, like if he was 25. And I'm really, really surprised that he can handle this situation so freely. I mean, he was wide open, just waiting for the chance. And to be honest, we talked about a little bit in the beginning that the game changed when he was replaced. I kind of would like to see him a little bit more, because I knew the French will go forward, will open a little bit, and he will have more chances. It's true that maybe he wasn't working or running as much as possible, but he was the key player at that moment. And when you have so much confidence, I understand that Scaloni wanted to close down a little bit that left side, try bringing another left back, doing as his job. That after you could see that when it was needed to go forward and make the cross and do more passing. Acuna is not the player. He's a player that from the back can defend well and can go forward maybe 2-3 times. But if you ask him to build up, you ask him to link with the other, he's not Di Maria at all. So I think that he could have been on the game maybe for another 10 minutes, I will give it. I think it was replaced on the 65 minutes or something like that. I will give it another 10 minutes, allowing him to maybe be more, because when he's there, you know the front is going to need to have an eye on him. So I have kept it a little bit more, but definitely outstanding performance in all the way. And that goal on the build-up, it was in that counter-attack with Messi, Enzo, and finishing with him, it was just fantastic.
Yeah, that's well said. And you know, one of the things that I wanted to bring, just kind of shift the conversation a little bit off of Di Maria, was just the coaching staff, right? We talk a lot about Scaloni, but if you look below that, you have Aymar, you have Ayala, you have Walter Samuel. It's an entire staff of high-achieving footballers. And there's something unique to this to me. And obviously we see footballers as head coaches and whatever, but to put a staff together with multiple assistants, I'm curious what everybody thinks about that, because it was going to come down to, and they've got long-term contracts, but it was going to come down to, being able to execute in a moment like this. And we talk about Di Maria as an example of a staff of guys who've been there before, who've played at the highest level, who've executed, who've failed at the highest level, who've succeeded at the highest level. To come together, one, to be able to work together with that many egos is really difficult as a coaching staff. But two, to be able to look and say, we're going to go with Di Maria in the final in our starting lineup. When we all saw that, we were probably all a little bit shocked based on Di Maria's form at the club level, what we know that he's capable of, but hasn't necessarily achieved since leaving PSG. And I'm just, curious to throw it back to this group. I don't know where to start on just what that means for this coaching staff, and if there is something dynamic about this group that they put together in terms of managers and assistants.
JJ, I'll let you go.
I mean, I think, when you're putting together a coaching staff, it's certainly at international level, it's important to have a number of people who have really experienced, the game at that level, and have that emotion, for representing their country. Obviously, you need people who are switched on tactically, excellent in terms of motivation and sort of the technical preparation side of things. But you also need people who bleed, for the country's shirt. And I think, Scaloni, I mean, we don't remember Scaloni, with all due respect to him, we don't remember him as a player as being one of Argentina's sort of leading lights. I mean, we all recognize that he was an international, but he sort of wasn't like, sort of the caliber of, like, I don't know, players like Crespo, Zanetti, those kind of guys. But, he obviously has been around the international setup so much that he has learned so much during his playing career that he's now taken into that coaching career. And I think part of that, will also be reflected in the way that he creates that, the coaching staff as well. And I'll be interested to know if he tries to fast track some of the players who are quite close to retirement now into his coaching staff, assuming that he stays on for sort of at least the next 4-year cycle.